What just happened to the motorcycle market? In the last year or so here, motorcycles have absolutely fallen off of a cliff. If you paid any attention to the new Mecum auction that came up for 2025, it seems like prices are just so fast across the board for two similar bikes. They could be tens of thousands of dollars different in value. More primarily, we saw those in the Kawasaki's, but old British bikes, really sought after rare bikes, are now trading for thousands and thousands of dollars less than they were a few years ago. Also, the dirt bike market has fallen almost by 30 to 40%. And the regular market, with just kind of everything, is also in a very similar place. It seems like cars and houses are still holding, but motorcycles are completely in the gutter. What's the reason? Why are we going through this, and what should you do about it? Well, here is my take on it, my insight, and hopefully this will help some of you guys out who are thinking about buying bikes right now. Now, even the car market and the housing market has seen a huge slowdown. The whole economy as a whole has really come to a halt. Whether you believe that or not, it is true. If you're seeing how people are spending, what they're spending on, everything is so expensive that a commodity like a motorcycle, something you really don't need, is not necessary to most people. A lot of people are deciding to sell those machines and starting to pay for the things that they need, like their cars, insurances, or just regular food, mortgages, rent. Everything has got so expensive in the last few years that things like motorcycles, these extra things in our lives, yes, they went up in value like crazy, but right now, they're almost trading at an all-time low compared to anything I've seen. I'm talking about the last 20 years or so on how prices have reflected, because you can't really compare back then to now. So the crazy kind of economy we're going through is a huge reason and a huge thing to blame as far as why motorcycle prices are crashing. Alongside that, we talked a little bit about the British market a few videos ago and how these motorcycles have been hiding. Even though they are blue chip collector bikes, these bikes, well, they've been unknown to generations like mine, generations under mine, and a few generations above me even. So when there's this disconnect and these things have gotten so rare, there's not that many buyers out there. On top of that, the buyers who are out there for these machines have started to get old, and they just can't ride them and appreciate them like they could 10, 15 years ago. So supply, demand, price gets driven down when the supply is way higher and the market is being flooded with motorcycles. Another huge point that I want to drill in is the fact that over 40% of you guys who are coming back to my videos aren't subscribed. Go down, subscribe, it's free! Now, it might not reflect right away as how far motorcycles have come down, because you see some bikes being thousands of dollars over some of the other ones. You're like, yeah, see, that bike's, it's in a reasonable price compared to the last few years, but in all reality, that bike's been for sale for 6 months, 10 months, a year and a half. I've been trying to buy a race bike recently, and we'll keep it at that, but the race bikes I've been looking at, they're listed for $4,000, but few years ago, they were $4,000, but now that bike is $2,500, $2,600, and it'll sell for about that much anymore, and it probably won't sell because the ones that are listed at that price do transact fairly reasonably. A little bit higher, they tend to sit for a few months. So a huge part of it is people don't want to lose their tails, so sometimes you will see some bikes just listed for way too much. Kawasaki ZRX. So a lot of owners don't want to lose their tails, and a lot of people are losing thousands of dollars of what they bought these motorcycles from. And there are many collections being liquidated right now, which again floods the market of these motorcycles, so it brings a super uncertainty of kind of what's going on. So what should you do as a motorcycle buyer? Well, here's my opinion. Go buy a motorcycle. Truly, they're at a fantastic price, probably the best prices you're ever going to get for the next few years. Definitely the best prices you've got for the last decade or so. I'm not going to say motorcycles are investments, but if you buy it right, your motorcycle should hold basically all the value, and you can ride it around, and if it really comes to the time at the end of the summer where you decide to sell it, you can probably get what you bought it for, especially if you bought it in winter. Right now, everything is up and down. Right now is a huge down. Take advantage of the huge down. It'll probably go back up, but I don't see certain models that are trading for half the prices of what they were going for stay at those prices or go any lower. So if you wanted a bike like that and you see, wow, it got really cheap, and you're scared of it going further down in value, if you buy it right and if you really consider it, it probably won't. The last bit isn't financial advice. Do what you want with your own money. I take no responsibility. There are certain models to stay away from. Kawasaki H2, Kawasaki Z1 are two that immediately pop into my head. Even if you look at bikes that transacted for a couple of years ago, people have lost so much money on them just because of how the market has changed. Don't buy a bike that's on a hype. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing. If a bike is being hyped up, just try to stay away from it. Because chances are, and statistics probably show, that in a few years that hyped up bike will probably just see a crash in value. Unless it's something like a Vincent, which even those, they rode steady for a long time and now we've seen a little bit of a dip. Can that last? Personally don't think so. Now, I've been talking more about vintage bikes, but it goes for newer bikes too. I got my Hornet on a fantastic deal this year. I got my RC51 on what I think was a great deal this year, as well as a couple other newer bikes, some vintage bikes. So it really is across the board as far as motorcycles go. Take advantage of the prices while you can, because certain models, when you pick them up for a few $1,000s, you gotta think to yourself, can it really get cheaper than a few $1,000s? And even if it does, so be it. With that said, I'd love to hear your opinions in the comment section down below, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.